Could I be buying an Indian? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, could I be buying an Indian motorcycle for 2024? Could I do it? Well, let me tell you a little story. So, I think it was before Christmas, I got a notification, and I think I actually mentioned it on a previous video, saying that by surprise, purely coincidence, I got an email received from a local motorcycle dealer service centre, and they basically said, look, we're going to become an Indian motorcycle dealership. I was like, oh, wow, that's really good. Yeah, great. Bit of competition for Harley Davidson in my local area, right? So I thought, I must get down there and have a look. Now, it totally slipped my mind. So today I went out for a ride on the heroic Harley, and I was sort of pooting along, and I just happened to ride by it, and I thought, oh, hold on a minute, weren't they becoming an Indian dealership? Okay, cut long story short, I turned in, got off the bike, and walked in and had a little look round. So, had a nice little chat with the guy there, nice little dealership. They just opened up about a week ago. I thought they'd opened up a few weeks ago, but he said, no, we've actually just officially opened a week ago. Great, looks good. A nice little sort of cafe bench area where you could just sort of hang out and chill out, loiter with intent. I like it. Nice array of bikes, Indians all over the place. Now, I did say to the guy, and I said to you guys as well, the only Indian I've ever ridden is an FTR, and I thought it was a fantastic bike. But I just didn't think it was my sort of style and the kind of riding that I eventually wanted to do. As a second bike, I think it'd be a no-brainer. As a fun hooligan bike. But as a kind of daily thing, no. So my position still stands that I kind of want a touring motorcycle. I want boxes, maybe a top box, a fairing, that kind of thing. So this time I had a closer look at the Indian Chieftain. So they didn't have the Challenger there. I think they were getting one in next week. They had the Pursuit there, which is like the big Connotura, and it's got everything around. And when I saw it in person, I thought that's just a bit too much. It's a bit like the Harley Davidson Ultra Limited or the Road Glide Limited. It's just a bit too much. But I thought, in terms of like the Street Glide or a Road Glide, I think that's where I'd more likely go if I were to go this way. But I thought, what about Indian? Well, I know they got the Chieftain, I know they got the Challenger, right? So I thought, which... I hadn't really looked at the Chieftain before. And I thought, let me just get a close look. Let me actually try and sit on the bike. And it was great. He said, fill your boots, just, you sit on whatever you want and all that sort of stuff. It appeared to me that the Chieftain, the fairing, was a lot closer than the Street Glide. I could be mistaken, but I think the Street Glide is just a little bit further away. But it seems if you're more immersed in the bike when you're riding it, or when you're sat in it, I should say. But then I started looking at the numbers. Now, again, okay, I haven't really looked at it this closely before. Okay, so if I compare the Chieftain Dark Horse, which has been out a couple of years now, quite a few years now. Oh yeah, just a little heads up. I got a little heads up there that Indian might be bringing out brand new motorcycles very, very soon as well. I don't know the extent of it, and it's all very hush-hush, but apparently there's new stuff coming. So if you're an Indian fan, make of that what you will. So I wanted just to look at the Dark Horse now, and I wanted to compare it to the brand new Street Glide from Harley Davidson. They're both in a similar kind of price bracket. The Indian Dark Horse for here in the UK is £26,395, and the Harley Davidson Street Glide for 2024 is £26,795. So what's that? That's £400 cheaper. Okay. I believe with the Street Glide, Harley Davidson, you're still only getting the 2-year warranty. I know you can extend it. Indian are given UK customers, and again, I don't know if this is a global thing, so if you know better, please let us know in the comments. But Indian, for the UK customers, are given a 5-year warranty. So all of a sudden, that makes a huge difference. If you're buying a brand new motorcycle, to have a 5-year warranty is a big deal. Now, some people kind of like the warranty aspect or the restrictions. I suppose it really depends. Again, it always comes down to what kind of upstaging you can do, what kind of modifications are you going to do. So I'm sure it'd be the same kind of restrictions for Indian, for Harley Davidson, for BMW, for anything like that. But in terms of just a comparison, like for like, one is slightly cheaper, not much cheaper. but one's got a 5-year warranty, one's got a 2-year warranty. Okay, we can't really talk about the looks of the bike. For me, they look quite similar. We can't really judge on the looks because, again, that's an individual thing, right? But let's just look at a couple of specs here, which I thought was really interesting. Now, Harley Davidson, for the Street Glide, they've got the new 117 engine in there. The Indian has got a 116 cubic inch engine, and that's been out for a couple of years now as well. The Indian Chieftain is delivering a peak torque at 171 Newton meters at 3,000 RPM, whereas the Street Glide from Harley Davidson is delivering 175 Newton meters at 3,500 RPM. So again, much of a muchness. Now I know there's going to be lots of people out there, and some of you guys watching as well would say, oh no, there's a big difference between the two bikes. And I would agree, there are lots of differences, but actually there are so many similarities as well. So I think this is a really good comparison to make, for me, in my mind, to say actually which is the better bike. Now on paper, I'm kind of looking at, even though it's a brand new Harley Davidson 2024 with a 117 engine, I'm kind of looking at the Indian here and the Chieftain. I'm thinking, I like the looks, so that's a big tick, right? If you like the looks of it, then fine. The Indian does seem to have a bit more surface area of side panels than the Harley Davidson. I will give it that. The look of the engine I really like. I mean, I've got to say, with all the Indians, I only like the Dark Horse variant. I don't really care for their other colour options, so that's got to be said. And I've got to say, it's only the black bikes, you know, the dark smoke, whatever it is, that I kind of like. Otherwise, I'm not really a fan of their colour options. Albeit the other bikes with that kind of bluish grey colour, I really like as well, and that's on the Chief. They had a Chief there, and they had a Sport Chief down there as well. And loads of Scouts and FTRs as well they had down there as well. But I say, this Dark Horse, this Dark Smoke Dark Horse, it looked the business. The fairing seemed to be a lot closer, and the infotainment seemed to be right on point. It's got a power screen as well, LED lighting all around. I mean, this is, you know, again, we're looking at a bike that's had all this tech on there for, you know, a number of years, where Harley Davidson, only this year they're coming out with LED lighting. When I say tech, you know, we're not, you know, it's LED lighting. It's not exactly rocket science, but there we go. So the Indian, for me, seems to be the bike that I think, out of the two, I think I'd lean towards the Indian. I definitely lean towards the Indian. Now, let me temper my enthusiasm. I've not ridden it. Right? I've not ridden it, and I've not ridden an Indian of this sort of class of motorcycles, so I can't really say whether I'd like it or not. I don't even know what it really sounds like. I've heard them in the past, but I can't really remember the sound. Now, let's get back to that 5-year warranty. The 5-year warranty, I kind of think, do you know what? I'm not really that fussed about modifying the bike. I found with my Harley that there are modifications that you make by choice, and there are modifications that you make that you feel you have to fix an issue. There's a problem and you kind of have to tweak it. And those are most of the modifications which I was doing, is kind of delivering a little bit extra or fixing an issue that I really wasn't happy about. Whereas with the Indian, especially now, I think I'd be the same with the Harley, in all fairness. And even if I went with a BMW or a Triumph, I'd buy it and I'd just kind of keep it stock. I wouldn't be doing major works with performance upgrades or anything like that. You know, I'm not really that bothered about that kind of thing anymore. Perhaps, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look into that as well. One of the things I did note on the Chieftain was that the rear mudguard, there seems to be like fill-in inserts where next to the saddlebags as well. So there doesn't seem to be a natural place to have to be able to fit a rack. Now the guy told me he believes that these fill-in pieces are taken off, and there's like a docking kit that would, you know, you'd be able to put on a rack. We weren't really sure about whether you could get a top box for it either. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are companies out there who could do that. And we kind of talked about, well, whether a top box would be suitable for me. And I think, you know, I don't really want to go like the Ultra Limited or the Road Glide Limited route, or the Roadmaster route, or the Pursuit route, you know, for the Indian. I don't want that huge tourer. I want something that is quick detachable top box, and away I can go. So from that point of view, as it stands, like the touring bagger, I really like it. I've got to say I really like it. Now, I don't like the price. Of course I don't like the price. However, this is a bike that's been around the bazaars a little bit. Brand new, but it's been to the shows. It's got quite a few scuffs on it. There's a deal to be done. There's a deal to be done here. So all I can say is they haven't got a demonstrator in right now, But I've left my details for when they get a demonstrator, or if they turn this bike into a demonstrator, I'm going to go and have a look at it, and I'm going to go and have a ride of it and see what I think. If I was going to change my bike this year, I was definitely looking at a BMW R1250 RT. That was pretty much going to be my choice. I really like the GTL. 1600 GTL, but I kind of had to have my sensible head on when I think, well, if I want to work on my bike at home, then the RT is a much better bike to work on, and it's cheaper to have it serviced as well, whereas the GTL, it's so awkward to work on. You have to virtually take the whole front of the bike apart just to access spark plugs, you know, simple things like that. So the Indian is exactly the same as a Harley Davidson in terms of engine access. So if I'm going to jump for another bike, yes, a BMW is definitely an option, but listen, why not try this Indian Chieftain? And I've got to say, like for like, I kind of like the Chieftain. I really do. I like the way the fairing is kind of formed around you. It seems to be quite close, you know, not so far away. You know, it seemed to have a nice feel about it. Who knows? I mean, who knows how I'd feel about it, but it just seems to be a much better buy. And then you kind of look at that 5-year warranty and you think, it's a no-brainer. I mean, somebody actually commented, I think it's a guy called Paul who commented on one of my previous videos, and he said, you know, he kind of mentioned all the things that I mentioned, but he also talked about individuality, and this is right. Look, if I've always loved being an individual, of course, and individual choices as well. I don't really like following the crowd or following the herd and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of aspect of motorcycle, that kind of aspect of Harley Davidson in that regard, never really interested me. So I've always gone after the bike, and I've said this time and time again, it's the bike that I like, not necessarily the brand. And with Indian, there seems to be, they're not more exclusive, but in terms of seeing them on the road, there are a lot less of them about. There are a lot, certainly here in the UK, but certainly all over the world. There's a lot less Indians about. However, they're coming on strong here in the UK. I think they're about, I don't know, nearly 20 dealerships, I think, something like that. No, it could be wrong. Could be a little bit less than that. But there are substantially more dealerships now here in the UK than there ever were. And this one down the road is just the latest one to have opened up. So they seem to be pushing on here in Europe and certainly in the UK. They've got a similar kind of distribution system network as Harley Davidson have, in that all the bikes come from the United States, whereas for Harley Davidson, they don't come from the United States. They all come from Taiwan or whatever it is. So that's a difference. Now, it's be exactly the same. They're not all American bikes, all American products. We know that because parts are sourced all over the world. But I'm just saying, as a fact, they're coming from the United States. So they go to a European hub, and I believe it's in Poland. And then from Poland, they're kind of reassembled again out of the crates. Then they're shipped or distributed to all the dealerships around Europe. And then all the parts come through there as well. And then they're all shipped out to all the dealerships as well. So it's a very similar setup. There's a European hub, and then all the dealerships around Europe get their bikes from there. Or you can order via dealership, via Indian, and then it comes via that route as well. But listen, you know, until I try it, I won't know. And I got to say, I can't really say that the Challenger would suit me, although I haven't seen it either, and I haven't sat on it either. And I think I'd have a similar kind of feeling as I have of the Street Glide towards the Road Glide. I like the Road Glide, but just didn't really think it was for me in terms of the way I would ride. And I got a feeling here with the Chieftain and the Challenger, I think it'd be a similar kind of thing. But again, I don't really know. But in terms of just weighing these up, I've got to say, it seems like a much better buy. And yeah, as soon as one's available, I'm going to have a look at it and see how we go. But there we go. Could I be buying an Indian motorcycle, an Indian Chieftain in 2024? Watch this space. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.